Hi everyone, myself N. Arun Kumar from SNSCT Electronics and Communication Engineering. I am going to talk about gates and minimization techniques. In that, we are going to see how the Karnaugh map minimization rules has been implemented in Boolean algebras. So before Karnaugh minimization techniques, we must know what is the function of Karnaugh minimization. Initially, we are following the values by using the Karnaugh map. All the values are assigned or all the values are minimized by using this rules and regulations. If you are not able to minimize the Karnaugh cells or a Boolean expression, we are having lot of variables are present inside the tables. So that the diagram will be very tough to draw all the components inside the medium. So in order to avoid those kind of things, we may go for this minimization rules. So Dr. Karnoff, he was invented the Karnoff map in the year of 1953. Based on the cells, they are forming the all the values. So first one is Karnoff map rules. So first, initially they are forming the Karnoff map by like this. Karnoff may not include any cells containing a zero because in this case we are using right side of the concern term. Here they are taken about 1 and 1 will be the right one. In case if you are mapping 0 and 1 will be the next one, it may not be a right one because if you are going to map only the adjacent value like this. And next case we are going to add other values. If suppose if you want to add some other value with nearby one means the right way is like this. In order to avoid this wrong method, we may move to this right one. If you are mapping like this, it is the wrong one. You don't get any concern values. And next one is in this case, there are a lot of rules and regulations, especially in the Karnaugh map. In previous cases, we have discussed only how the values are mapping with adjacent cells. In this case, we are going to see how the values has been framed or mapping with other extra cells, other needy cells. So initially, the right method is like this. We are mapping a adjacent cell by one, and also we can map the adjacent by all the four cells grouped together. In case if you are mapping the values like the three terms, it will be a wrong one because if you are mapping these three cells, we don't get any answers because if you are calculating the values of these three cells, we can consider the right and left side of the concerned cell numbers because if you are calculating the value of a concerned Karnaugh map, we have to multiply with the right and row columns. Then only we can get the concerned group cells of the answers. Else we may not get any answers. We will get only the wrong cells, or else the cells may be extended by one another. So our aim is to minimize the number of cells. Is our aim, so that we may neglect those kind of cells neighboring with each other. And next one is grouping with each other. In this case, we may not neglect any one term in this group. We can correlate the values and one by one by using the neighboring cells. For example, if you are mapping the values by using the above method, initially we are mapping one cell by one. First one is which one will be the right one we can able to mark. So here they are marking straight away by 1 1 and 1 1 cell, and next one is 1 1 1 1. Right side of the cell and left side of the cells has been framed by using a indicating method. And next one is wrong method because if we know that they are all are in same column or same row, so that we can mark it as a all four values will be marked as a together one. But in this case, if you are mapping like this, the values will be come from one by one, because if you are mapping like this, we will get the only two values, but in this case we will get more than three values. So in order to avoid this wrong method, we can move to right one, because our aim is to minimize the number of values. Our next one is each cell containing a one must be in at least one group. So in this case, if you are mapping a one by one map with each other, we will get some answers. Or else we may move to other case. Suppose in this case, if you are not mapping with the neighboring cells, means we can mark it as a small one, and we will mark it as a least one, because it doesn't have any neighbor value, so that we can move straight away. Or else we can mark it from one by one to one with each other. Next one is in this case group overlapping. Already we have seen in the previous case, overlapping with each other. Overlapping means already the cells are marked by one. Already the cells are marked. The same cell will be marked as a next one. If you are calculating the formulas, or if you are calculating the values of the concerned cells, we can get the less grouping cells. But in this case, we may move for three cells. Each cells they are marking together, so that we can get lot of expressions. Next one is corner map rules. Suppose in the variable like all the values are neighboring side, means we can mark it as in one by one, or else we can correlate it by corner side of the concerned cells, corner cells of the concerned cells, so that we can get the concerned equations. Suppose if the values are neighboring one, so for this case, we can calculate the values by one. First one is they can mark it as 1 and 1 put together, and next one is 1 and this cells 1 will be put together. Next one is they are going to straight away, they are marking as all 1 together, they are mapping, so that we will get the some values. So these are the rules and regulations of the concern grouping. No zeros allowed, because we are mapping only the value of ones. No diagonal values. The diagonals cannot be possible to mapping with each other. Only the power of two number of cells in the each groups. We can mapping the cells by one, or two number of cells. Next one is groups should be as large as possible. We have to find what are the possible combinations are there in the group. Next one is everyone must be at least one group, because if the cells are all together, or if the cells are neighboring one, means we have to check whether all the possible connection in the cell. Next one is overlapping allowed, because the overlapping is the only method to reduce the number of columns. Wrap around allowed. Sometimes the cell values are mapping with the neighboring value, or scattered values, so that we can wrap around all the values. Next one is fewest number of group possibles. Our aim is to minimize the number of values, number of region behind the values. So the fewest number of group possible. If the possible, we have to check whether all the combinations has been framed, or all the combination has been marked. So these are some rules and regulations of Karnaugh map variables. Thank you.